Hello, Tiffany. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite fine, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Tiffany, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Tiffany, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest it in yourself. And oftentimes, Tiffany, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Tiffany, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves are all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Tiffany, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Tiffany. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Tiffany that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your philosophies, your journey, your insight, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering your solutions. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, Tiffany, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Tiffany's doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to be selfish, and even with the audience. And here we had a day with the incredible Tiffany. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, Tiffany.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to chat. This is a really great. Yeah, I'm
Beautiful.
having a good your journey
Ah,
as well.
awesome. So let's get started. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Tiffany, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, Tiffany, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Tiffany on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Tiffany, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Tiffany got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Tiffany, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have always come from a place of listening to my inner voice and my compass. Something that I often speak to people about regarding the question of how did I get to where I am? Why New York City? Why the creative industry? Why do I put forward the type of work that I do? People ask where my discipline comes from. There's sometimes a misconception, or I would say an assumption from some people that assume that those things were taught to me or handed down in some way. And that's definitely not the case. I am very much self made, and I've always relied on my own inner voice compass to direct me. That brought me to New York City. That's given me, my art school degrees and my career. So yeah, that's kind of my journey of success in a nutshell. I would say listening to yourself above all, and not getting too tied down with maybe society norms or any type of image or vision that others may have of you, the you should or you shouldn't kind of conversations or, terminology, maybe steer in your own direction and kind of put up your own sails in life.
Hmm, amazing. This is beautiful, interesting, and profound. You know why? Because what you said is really important, not living by societal expectations or judging your life by the norms declared by the society or by people's opinion, but getting your conviction from within. That's powerful. And I love that. I've got to clap for it, you see. Beautiful. And that's an awesome journey. So you mentioned New York City. Let's start from there. All right. What happened? How did you get to New York City? How's the journey been so far? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always kind of felt an organic pull towards New York City since I was very young. I always kind of had this vision with me to go create big things and be part of a team and community and to create. But it didn't happen until my 30s, until I entered my 30s. That was the official time I actually made the official move to New York City, and I had kind of thought about it within early years, especially when I was a young student. Um, and I just kind of had this moment where I was I was engaged to someone, and it just that suddenly didn't make sense. That relationship wasn't who I was. The house wasn't who I was. The Fortune 500 company wasn't necessarily who I was, and I made the move to New York, and I've been here for a little bit of time now.
Mm, awesome. And I got that. So let's get personal a bit. So how did film and music become your escape?
Well, from a young age, I would say primarily when I was maybe later kind of grade level, fifth, sixth grade, maybe into high school, early college years. That was typically the time where I was in this mode of discovery when it came to the realm of alternative music. I wasn't necessarily tied to the political nature of a genre like punk, for example. I was more interested and intrigued by these creatives coming from very, very humble beginnings like I did, and really not just creating their own success, but allowing their vision to drive their force versus overly commercializing themselves or becoming more of a product. I just kind of noticed a lot of bands like the Pixies, or, I can even say that about maybe even like the Clash or Pink Floyd to some degree, and just people that seem to be wanting to create and not really wanting to fit into any particular mold.
Awesome. I got that. So you used a very important word just now. You used the word becoming. Okay, so what does becoming mean to
I've kind of been thinking about that a little bit recently, actually, and this kind of idea of a beginning, middle, and ending to chapters or transitions we go through in life, or even our life as its own scale. Um, I've kind of started to use that term, or that maybe that concept of becoming as a never ending thing where, kind of like you're never not a student in life. So as much as you're always a student and you're always learning and progressing, that's kind of that becoming nature as well.
Hmm. Oh, wow. That's kind of deep. But I got that. You see, I would have to listen to our conversation again and again. You're sharing some very important stuff. So I'm curious about this part. Have you been featured in any movie? And where can we listen to your music?
I don't create music, but I worked within the music industry since I actually started
Oh,
working within the music industry in late high school. Actually, I started working with bands. And I still do. I still do work with musicians. I'll always have a big part and piece of my heart and creativity associated with music. Um, yeah, I haven't been featured in any films yet. That would be great.
awesome. Okay. So I still have some questions here. So, what did you learn, you know, while working as a creative director and photographer?
Yeah, it's interesting because in the creative landscape, it's funny how everything really does blend together. So once you take on the responsibilities and the nature of a creative director, you kind of understand how to marry that with different skill sets like photography. And it's not simply grabbing your camera right and being the photographer for an event or for the day. It's bringing that creative direction with you in everything that you do. So if you decide to create music, if you decide to create film, if you want to take on choreography and dance and performing arts, there is always this kind of chain link reaction between all of the creative mediums, and it always seems to kind of have this essence of director role where it's kind of like as a creative director you're always kind of taking charge of your vision and pushing forward.
Pushing forward. I got that too. So, while reading a little bit about you, there is this particular phrase that I found. Biology is not destiny. What do you mean by?
What was it?
Okay, let me say that again. Biology is not destiny.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. So I was brought up in a family of relatives that are directly biologically linked in some way to me, right? Like as a physical being, I was born into a family of relatives. But from a really young age, I felt very disconnected from that family or that group of relatives. Going back to kind of society, norms or moving within a traditional kind of landscape, being that you grew up a certain way or you're tied to maybe your own family or biological values or culturally, I've just kind of taken my own journey. So by that, I kind of just encourage that if someone feels the same way, um, I support it and I encourage someone to go out and find their own family or tribes, and create their own sense of culture, their own sense of belonging, their own community. Um, but at the same time, some people are born into some people are biologically born and linked to really, really amazing and fantastic connections.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't um, push that away in a sense. Some people are born into what would be considered their soulmates. Some people are
Mm,
best friends with their parents. So it can kind of go either way. I just kind of encourage, do you whatever makes you happy and what feels right.
got it, got it. And this is a very important one. Do you mind sharing some more? Like, how was your family like? Can you talk to us about?
Yeah, I kind of grew up around a lot of a lot of adults that never really found kind of their own kind of like what makes them tick, their own pulse, their own kind of calling, their own organic nature within the world. they kind of were struggling within their own identities. They found it difficult to emotionally connect, and it just kind of created what I would consider more of a toxic and survival environment versus an environment that encourages nurturing and community.
And I tell you, there are a lot of people, stuck in families like this. Okay, let us go
Yes,
deeper a bit. Yeah, so for folks who might be feeling unseen by family, what advice do you have?
absolutely. Something that I kind of found enlightening as I was growing up, kind of feeling that isolation. I really did dive deep into myself and found the belief and strength within where I was going, and again listening to that inner kind of compass and that inner voice, um, preparing you and directing you towards what is kind of calling or is more connected to you organically. So that could mean, you're not born into a family that is interested in something like food, for example, but maybe you have this huge passion for food and you want to go study internationally and you want to travel the world. I would encourage anyone that's in a family that feels a little bit disconnected or feels a little bit misguided or even, not as encouraging to just continue to listen to that inner voice and go travel the world and go cook and blossom your food knowledge and passion.
Very, very true and very important. And I got that. So to bring this to an end, Tiffany, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about the wonderful stuff you're doing, or even open your services or programs, how can that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. I'm very active there. At Creativity22 is my handle. Um, I would love to leave people with just being guided by you. I mean, be you, understand your beauty, find your own inner harmony. Don't let things discourage you. Don't let things take you down. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to vent to people that care about you. Understand that you're never alone. Just keep keep you with you and keep being you is what I would want people to take away.
Keep you with you and keep being you.
Yeah,
Am I permitted to use that quote?
yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. That's a
Yes,
fantastic one. So that's going to be the other show, Tiffany. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuff with us. I tell you, it's very, very important and it's very insightful. Thanks so much.
thank you, thank you. This was great. Thank you so much.